put yourself together. And then maybe if you put yourself together, you know how to do that. You know what's wrong with you, if you'll admit it. You know there's a few things you could like polish up a little bit.
Come on in, let's talk about it. Come on in, let's talk about it. Make it make sense.
Okay, so today we're gonna dive deep into this idea that life can be kind of raw deal, you know? Like you're born into all this stuff you didn't choose. Family history, the body you got, challenges right out the gate. Like starting a race with, I don't know, weights strapped to your ankles or something.
It's true.
And the material we're looking at today, it doesn't sugarcoat that. It's not like, ooh, just think positive, it's all in your head. It's more like, yeah, no, you're kind of screwed from the start in some ways.
What struck me is how upfront it is about that. Like right away, it just acknowledges that inherent unfairness. No beating around the bush. Just saying, yep, there are disadvantages built in. Let's go from there.
Right. And that honesty, it makes the rest of it hit harder, you know?
Totally.
But then you hit this wall. Like, okay, so life's unfair, lots of reasons, different for everyone. Now what? How do you even begin to fix all that? It's overwhelming.
Right.
I mean, think about it. It's not just, oh, this group has it worse than that group. It's way more nuanced. Someone's working 3 jobs because their family's sick. Someone's brilliant, but the education system fails them. Someone's stuck in poverty because the whole system's rigged against them. It's endless, like the material says.
And that's where it gets almost impossible, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you even compare those things? Who decides which struggle is more important to solve? And even if you could, who's got the wisdom, the authority, and the lack of bias to actually implement solutions? It feels like a recipe for disaster more than anything else.
And that's where, at least according to this source, the Western world kind of throws its hands up. It's like, okay, we can't solve for every individual's suffering. So their answer, kind of surprising, it's the free market.
Really?
Yeah, it's like outsourcing the whole The idea is you go out there with all your baggage, all your limitations, your, sorry, pathetic being is how they put it, kind of harsh, but you try to offer something of value, you negotiate, you compete, and somehow out of that mess, things kind of work out sometimes.
So the marketplace becomes this massive experiment, right? Billions of people, each with their own unique struggles, trying to exchange something, make something better of their situation.
Exactly. And the prices, the goods, services, they all become reflections of that constant negotiation of everyone's individual circumstances. It's messy, it's often brutally unfair, but it's also, well, it's what we got.
But the source is realistic about it. It even calls the free market a bad solution.
Yeah, right. Not exactly a ringing endorsement.
But then it argues, and I think this is key, that it's still better than the alternatives.
Yeah.
Like none of this is ideal. But this system, flawed as it is, has actually given more freedom to more people than, well, pretty much any other system we've tried. That's the argument, at least.
Makes you think, though, what's the foundation of all this? This idea of the individual just going out there, fighting their own battles. Where's that come from?
Well, the source traces it back to a really powerful image, almost a myth. The unjustly suffering individual. You know, like the classic figure of someone being wrongfully crucified, tortured. That archetype, it becomes the bedrock of how we understand the individual in the West.
Wow, that's heavy. So we're all kind of walking around carrying that image with us.
In a way, yeah. And the response to that, according to the source, isn't to band together in anger. It's the opposite. It's don't get together in a damn mob. Because mobs, they're dangerous. They do terrible things. History's full of it.
It's like that urge to right the wrong, to fight back against injustice. It can so easily turn into something worse. And this material, it's really wary of that.
Absolutely. It's much more about individual responsibility. Even in the face of all that suffering, the idea is to pick up your damn suffering and bear it. Not passively, but as a way to prevent even greater harm. It's tough, but that's the challenge.
And that's where it gets real. Because let's be honest, life, i.e. suffering, right? This material doesn't shy away from that. And it's not just some pessimistic take. It's like, this echoes through religions, philosophies, everything. It's just a fundamental truth of being human.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. So then the question becomes, what do you do with that suffering? Lie down and let it crush you. Or is there another way?
And the source, it offers this proactive path. And the first step is, well, get yourself together for Christ's sake. Kind of blunt, but the point is, if you're a mess, how can you help anyone else? How can you even avoid making things worse? So work on yourself first. Get your own house in order, so to speak.
It's not about being perfect, though. It's about recognizing, okay, I got flaws. We all do. And then little by little, making things better. Like polish yourself up a bit, and maybe, just maybe, that ripples outwards to your family, to the world. Who knows?
It's a fixer-upper analogy,
Yeah.
right? You don't tear the whole house down. You start with what you can handle.
Exactly. And a big part of that is how you treat yourself and others when mistakes happen. This innocent until proven guilty idea. It's huge. Like when you screw up, focus on what you did wrong, specifically, not some global judgment of your entire being.
That's so important, especially for people struggling with depression. The source talks about that, right? Helping them argue for their own innocence, so to speak, instead of getting crushed by that voice saying they're fundamentally bad.
Yeah. It's the difference between, okay, I messed up this one thing and I'm a total failure, when you can work with the other just paralyzes you.
It's like seeing the error as a state, not a trait. A temporary thing you can fix, like a leaky faucet, not the whole damn plumbing needing to be ripped out. Especially when you're emotional. Man, that's crucial.
And the beauty of that is it lets you be braver. If every mistake isn't this existential threat, you're more willing to try things, to experiment, to learn. And that's where growth happens, right?
It's like you're more curious about the problem because you're not terrified of it destroying you.
Exactly. And that's where things like religion and meditation come in, surprisingly. The source talks about building a story, a narrative for yourself that helps you handle those bumps in the road.
Like having a framework so when stuff goes wrong, you don't just fall apart.
Right. So it's all about taking responsibility for becoming a better person, because the alternative is just drifting, chasing whatever feels good in the moment, no real purpose, no consequences. Bleak, man.
And this is where it gets kind of wild. The source connects all this to
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio, like the puppet.
Yep. It's saying the whole story's loaded with Christian symbolism. Like even being inside the whale, it's mirrored in Jonah and the fish from the Bible.
Huh, never thought of it that way.
Right. And it goes deeper. It's like maybe we're wired to tell these kinds of stories, to gravitate towards these archetypes, that it's not just conscious choice, but something deeper driving us to imitate what we admire.
So then the question is, what are we supposed to be imitating? What's worthy of that? The source says it's what calls out to you. Like the best of the best, the things you deeply respect, even if you don't fully understand why yet. Admiration, respect. That's the compass.
But, and this is important, that striving for the ideal, it can be dangerous if it's not balanced right.
Yeah, it gets into Carl Jung territory here, like our conscious mind versus the unconscious, and how really grappling with these big questions of meaning, purpose, it can mess you up if you're not careful. The author even talks about writing their book, Maps of Meaning, and how rough that process was personally.
Heavy stuff. And you can tell this ain't just abstract theory for them. The source talks about their clinical work, seeing all this human suffering firsthand. It adds weight. You know, this isn't just intellectual games.
Okay, so we got the unfairness of life. The individual's got to step up, got to aim for something higher. Now it gets into this biblical passage, the lilies of the field. You know, don't worry, God will provide.
Yeah, but the source immediately clarifies that. It's not some hippie, just 5-man, it'll all work out thing. There's a crucial part people miss.
Right. It's about seeking the kingdom of God and his righteousness first. It's not passive. It's about actively aligning yourself with what you believe is the highest good. And then the promise is your needs will be met.
It's a leap of faith, though. Can't prove it beforehand. You got to live it to see if it works.
But the source is pretty convinced it does. They're saying striving for that highest good, it's not impractical. It's the most practical thing you can do. That's how you build a life that actually works.
And they tie it back to Pinocchio, which is wild. Like when Geppetto wishes on the star, it's him aligning with his highest aim for Pinocchio to become real. And that aim then guides everything he does. It's beautiful, man.
Gives those everyday actions a whole new meaning, right?
Totally. You're in the present, but always moving towards something bigger. And that brings us to, well, when all hell breaks loose, as the source puts it. The chaos, the hard times.
You got to be ready beforehand. Can't be building your defenses when the storm's already hit.
Exactly. And this is where it gets into why we love anti-heroes, even villains sometimes. They represent that monster within us, the part that can actually be a source of strength, of self-respect, once we learn to control it.
Like you can't truly respect yourself unless you acknowledge that capacity for darkness, for aggression, but choose not to unleash it recklessly. You got to have that fire, but keep it on a leash, you know?
It's pure Jungian shadow stuff.
Yeah.
Integrating those dark parts of ourselves, understanding why we're capable of terrible things. Not to excuse it, but to master it.
And that's where wisdom lies, right? Not in comfort, but in facing the stuff we least want to deal with, because often that's where the biggest growth is.
The source uses this great analogy of a car. and that warning light on the dashboard. Our lives, they're complex systems under the hood.
Yeah.
We like to think it's all smooth sailing, all green lights, but then, bam, something goes wrong. Our nice ordered map of reality gets shattered.
It's like, oh crap, there's a whole lot I don't know, and now it's coming to bite me.
Exactly. And instead of freezing, we got to become the kind of person who can handle that, who sees the dragon and runs towards it instead of away.
Now, for people who struggle with being assertive, speaking up for themselves, the source gives this practical exercise, kind of like exposure therapy.
Oh, interesting.
You identify situations where you should have spoken up, write down what you wish you'd said, then vividly imagine yourself actually doing it, practice in your mind, then start doing it in real life.
That shadow talking part is key, right? Getting it out on paper so you can see it, work with it.
Yeah. Okay, now we shift gears to Nietzsche. Death of God. Humanity's got to become gods, create our own values. Ubermensch stuff.
Heady stuff. But then it gets countered by Freud and Jung. Freud's like, hold up, we got all this subconscious stuff driving us. We ain't as in control as we think. And Jung takes it further, saying, we're all part of this grand narrative, a myth that's ultimately spiritual, connected to something bigger than ourselves.
So it's not about just inventing values willy-nilly. It's about discovering them. We ain't got the wisdom to make it all up from scratch, you know?
Especially when you see people who suffered real tragedy. They need values that can lift them up, that give them meaning. Can't just impose that from the outside. It's got to come from within, like a prayer almost.
It's tough, though, man, staring into that abyss, like Nietzsche warned. Got to be careful not to become the monster you're fighting.
That's where the source offers this powerful image, the crucifixion, the ultimate abyss, all the undeserved suffering in the world. And the idea is, by contemplating that with intensity, with faith, you can come to understand resurrection, the overcoming of death itself.
It's deep stuff. And the source, they bring it back to their clinical work. 2 big lessons. Honest conversation is healing, and voluntarily facing the stuff that scares you, that's where real growth happens. Break the fear down, practice, and you get braver, more competent.
And that's powerful stuff.
Last thing it touches on is evil and free will. It's like maybe a universe with evil with choice is ultimately better than one where we're just puppets. Scary thought, but...
But it implies freedom, right? Even if it means bad stuff can happen.
Yeah. And the final point is, the deepest good, it's reflected in our very nature, that urge to strive forward and uphill. It implies something transcendent, something we're reaching for. And the ultimate expression of that, they say, is the pursuit of the divine good.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it's been a journey, man. That tension between our limitations, our suffering, and our incredible potential. It's a lot to unpack.
We looked at practical tools, like focusing on specific actions instead of global judgments and using our imaginations to build courage. But the biggest takeaway for me is those values we're all searching for. They ain't just made up, they're discovered through looking inward and engaging with the world.
And that's the final thought for you listeners. What abyss do you need to look into? What hard truth are you avoiding? Because often that's where the most meaning, the most strength is waiting to be found.
It's like the deepest darkness can reveal the brightest light if you're brave enough to face it.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.